G'day everyone, welcome back. My name's Kerry Corney. I'm a wood turner based in Brisbane, Australia. It's wonderful to be back after the 600 bowl project. I know it's been keeping me away from being on here and being back with you as much as what I would like to be, but we're back at it now. First project back is going to be a customer requested chopping board / serving tray. So a dual service tray, and you're probably wondering why I've got this kettlebell here on the piece. It's because it's holding down the waste block that I glued on. And now, the reason why I went with the waste block is to maintain that thickness and to give it that sort of sturdiness I prefer as well to be in a chopping board and what their customer requested. So this was the thickest piece that I had of tallow wood. It's an extremely hard, dense piece of timber. Fun fact, here in Australia, any tree that has a flower typically is a big tree, is a hardwood. Anything with a nut is a softwood. So little food for thought, so to speak. The actual waste block itself, I chopped it up from red stringy bark on the bandsaw, had some little leftover scraps of red stringy bark, and then brought it over to the lathe and then made it nice and ran it true, turned it around in this chuck, and then faced up the other side nice and flat with my square end scraper. And then from there, I knew that it was dead flat on one side using the ruler method, which I'll show you later. And then getting a hole drilled through the center and just using just a simple little pin here, this little guy just here, using him to center it up, nice tight bond on it, heap of tight bond, probably way too much. And then that allowed it all to be centered, and then chuck the 16 kilo kettlebell on top of it. Now we're going to get stuck straight into it. I've got a few issues that I've noticed, that it's got some splits, but if you compare the same splits to the side, they don't go all the way through. So waste block there, all ready to rock and roll. Let's get it mounted up. Now I'm going to run the grain, so the grain is running vertical in the chuck jaws there. It's not a must. Give it a good crank. Now, waste blocks are super handy because you can use that pretty much the maximum amount of material that you have. 2 seconds. Put that back up there, otherwise I will forget where it was. And I don't know if everyone saw, but I have acquired an oval turning jig, so just going to remove the spanners there. Right. So it's a nice hefty piece of material, this, and it's going to be an absolute beaut to turn. I am going to bring up a little bit of insurance here of the tailstock. I have the cup center in there. That was very hot on my head. And talking about heat, it's actually 37 degrees here in the workshop at the moment. It's extremely hot, and a lot of people like when I wear shorts. So there you go, everyone. Shorts. Oh, and got a skin cancer cut out the other day, so there you go. I'll leave that in too, so you can all, yes. Alrighty, so I've got my 16mm gouge here, sharpened to 45 degrees. It's nice and sharp, so I'm just going to true up this outside. I am going to wear my respirator for this because our hardwoods have a lot of silica in them. The first thing I want to do is just true up this side here. And now even the shavings hammering down on my right hand there are pretty intense. Bit more speed now. So I've got a flat spot just here that I'll need to clean up, but we're going well. We'll keep going. So I'm trying to cut fairly straight. As I'm cutting, I'm looking at the top. I'm looking at the top of the piece up here. So as I'm cutting, I'm looking up there, but I'm also, when I set my tool rest up, I set it up so I visualise the tool rest to the bedways as well, and I try and run it pretty much parallel with the bed, so I know when I hold my gouge like this and I run it, my index finger, it's like when you're playing like snooker or something like that, it just acts as like a guide. So my finger's going to act like a guide as I come across, and it won't allow the gouge to push unevenly. So if I was riding it back here, it could go a little bit uneven. So that's how I go about doing that. I have it there, and then that's my guide, and I'm looking up the top as well, and holding it nice and firm down near the ferrule there helps me keep it all steady. So have we got rid of that flat spot yet, Kez? Yes, nice. So I'm just going to quickly move this around to clean up the back here, and I'm just going to press in. So I'm going to hold my gouge like that and just swing my right hip, pivoting it off my right hip there. Running at 718 RPMs all the way to the center there, and then just drag it off. Right. So what I need to do now is like making a platter. It goes in sequences. You form up your foot, or you get the shape first, then you form up the foot. So you form up where you want the platter to sit or your plate to sit. So for this one, I'm going to have it right out. But I want to show you something first. And then you scallop it out and then make your mortise. So you know when you make your mortise, you don't have to adjust anything else. It's all ready to go. So what I'm going to do first though is, in order for the end user to be able to pick it up off the table, I'm going to come back here on a 45 through there. So then the shape, hold on, so the shape will go a little bit like that and then down like that, foot there and then across, mortise in here and then back up, here we go, down, across, and then, yeah, up. And then straight. So it'll have like a space where you can get your hands, or your fingers, their fingers, underneath and lift it up. See how that looks there? Quite nice now. You get your fingers underneath that, plenty of room to grab that. So moving forward, my foot will start there, and I'll have it about 10 mil wide. And now I'll just shape that up. I'll come across here. Come across there. Just seeing if I got all the... This stuff is particularly, that's a pretty clean cut, but you see a little bit of pencil mark there, so I might just come back out again, excuse me. There we go, all right. I'm going to swing in and then come in towards the center. So that creates the gap when we have our base between our feet. Nice little clean cut now. Not going to worry about going all the way to the centre because that is where we'll form up our tenon, which we'll do now. Mortise, where we form up our mortise. And hopefully you can see the value of making that glue block as well on the other side. Just going to make sure we've got daylight between our 2 feet there, which we do. Beautiful. There's probably about 4 or 5 mil daylight there, which is lovely. Rightio, so we've got our dividers set there to the tenon, the mortise. Goodness me, someone needs to wake me up here. Square end scraper. Putting a lot of trust in that glue. We do a test fit, perfect. So my dust collection is a 10 horsepower dust collector into these bags on the bottom, and it's all controlled by these remotes here. This isn't sponsored, just let you know, by a company called IVAC. They make a control system which also houses a box, and then that box on the wall there that's underneath the power point connects into the dust collector and then allows me to use a remote anywhere in the workshop, so it's good to go. All right, everyone, so I'm going to wet oil this piece with Woodcut Tools Pure Tongue Oil. And I'm going to use 400 grit sandpaper to do that. Just going to get a nice, generous dollop of tongue oil on this piece. This is where it shines, I guess. That border there looks really nice, or that little grab bit that we made up around the top here. Right, get that all around there. And I do have a little bit of torn grain on the top of the rim here, on the end grain, so I'm just going to put a little bit in there, so when it comes time to just turn that after this, it'll act like some shaving cream, like I've done that other video, that real quick little video that I put up about oil helping you turn, and it acts like a shaving cream. And I don't know if you see it, but I actually turned that little bit just in here a little bit more, just to get rid of it. Sometimes sanding too much, you can actually heat the piece up and it can cause splits. So I wasn't getting rid of it with the 120, so I turned the lathe off and then got in there with the tool and then cut it out. So that's why it's got that little bit more of a step just in, you can probably see it, but it's got more of a step just up in here now. So just going to work this all the way over. A bit more speed now. It's wonderful to be back with you all. I've been missing making my videos, so it's good to be back with you. And hopefully we can get a bit more consistency out now with the videos as well, which I'm really looking forward to. Please let me know if there's any videos you want to see. Just drop them in the comments there and I'll try my best to get them happening for you. Turn that down. Just going to reach over, grab a cloth. You actually might see these shirts. I wear them in winter here. Just this heat, just so unusual, this heat. But anyway, that'll do us. Get this off now. Put that there. I've seen some people write on Facebook when they can't get their chuck off their lathe, and you can damage it by hitting it. Well, you can damage it either way. You can damage it by hitting it with your chuck key there. It's called a C-spanner. I bought this ages ago when I serviced my lathe. And sometimes on most chucks, around the back of the collar, so around the back, there'll be a little hole there where you can put one of these spanners in. You put your spanner in there and you get your trusty mallet. Thank you, Damo. And you can hit it. It is going to come off, so you can hit it like that. Or another way, and I learnt this off Glenn Lucas, is to open your jaws up so then you run your key down the center like that, and then you hit it like that, and it'll Keza, slow down, and then it will come off. These are the shark jaws. Fit them on there. Give them a little twist. Grab that. It's actually quite handy, that glue block. Right. Let's check it. Check it out. Make sure it's running nice and true. Yeah, it's going to have a wobble on the front, but that's all right. So the first thing I want to do now, I'm just going to press that off, is remove the glue block, the waste block. So we'll just get stuck in and get that done. I'm not going to hit that glue straight away because I reckon that'll take the edge off my tool pretty quickly, so I just want to save it for now. Still got a bit of an edge. I'm just going to clean it off now. Got a little bit to go on these outer edges here, but I was just noticing that my gouge was getting dull there. But I don't want to take too much off, so I'm just going to stop again, check, a little bit more, and then come back. So this is how I go about getting flat surfaces, and then I'll do the juice groove out on the edge. But what I do is just going to give it a little bit of support. Probably won't need it, but I start the little cut there. Until I've got like a really flat spot, a really flat surface. Then do you see this little shoulder here, this little spot just here? What I do then is I halve that distance with my scraper, and then I just work that right side down till my left-hand side touches and meets the previous spot, like this. Like that. And then I know those two are married up. They're nice and flat, and then I do it again. And then work my way across like that, all the way until I'm across the platter. And that's just one way of doing it. And then you can get your ruler and then run it across the edge to see that it's nice and flat and you've got no daylight underneath where you've cut. So next step now is to form the juice groove, and I'm thinking for that we'll just I want to get maximum size to the end user, so I reckon we bring a little groove out there somewhere, and I might just make it quite simple, a parting tool. Make sure I'm flat. So there's like a juice groove there, but I'm thinking in terms of cleaning, gee, this stuff's dusty, eh? So in thinking of terms of cleaning, I might angle it so you can just wipe it out real easily. But I don't want to use a scraper for it because I reckon it'll, like a round nose, because it will probably, what am I saying? It will probably tear the timber. Or just get a little catch. Why not? As you can see, I'm keeping this design very simple. Nice, Kez. Just an easy going design. Wet sanding here. Just let it come to life. Oop, wrong rag, nearly did it to you. This stuff's super sticky. And our Australian hardwoods, they're full of silica. So you see all that sort of, dust, that dark dust on my hands, that's like silica dust. So you've got to be pretty careful, because as the tree grows, it draws all the minerals up from the earth. Look how beautiful that is though, eh? This stuff is hard as nails. So it'll see me out and the end user. Simple, quick little project just to get us back in the swing of things, eh? Why not? Just to get the creative juices flowing again, something useful and practical. Why not? There's a storm coming in, so you might be hearing that door banging in over there. We're going to start getting some wild weather here in Australia. The summer storm season. I was up cleaning all the houses off and everything around the houses and that yesterday. So, around the house, sorry. So as our first project back of this, of turning, haven't been the hiatus of turning the 600 bowls, I'm quite pleased with this project. In this sort of after action report that I like to do, just looking over the piece, if I was cutting it, I'm happy that, I don't know, I think it was a design thing, it just happened to be that way, that the little juice groove area is lower than the actual main chopping area. So if you were to clip it with your knife, it wouldn't sort of chip that out. Anyway, so I'm pretty chuffed with it all. It's come up really beautiful with that tongue oil there, nice and easy to pick up. So if it was sitting on the table, nice and easy, and it's got that weight about it. Pretty much that all chopping boards, I believe, should have. I know you might want a little easier one, but I like heavy chopping boards, so you can really feel it when you pick it up and you plonk it on the table and you chop it onto it. So yeah, I know most chopping boards are meant to be end grain material, but I don't have the means of cutting up all the end grain and gluing and all that sort of thing. So side grain material it is, and Australian hardwood, it'll be hard as nails and it'll see the end user out. So thanks so much for sticking by me and waiting around for me to get back on here and film some other projects apart from little tiny bowls. So we're back on, let's get stuck into it. I will see you and talk to you directly. Cheers.